Hello, welcome to Confidence Through Cabaret. My name is Heather. I'm so glad that you're here. Today is Masterclass Monday. So, for those of you that are new here, in Confidence Through Cabaret, we talk about personal life, work life, and stage life. And we look at ways of increasing our confidence where we want to develop confidence. So, we always start from where we're strong and where we do feel good. And so, today, I'm so proud to be sharing with you this masterclass by River Starlight. It's called Elemental Touch, and you'll find the masterclass on confidencethroughcabaret.com. There is tons of material on the landing page, and then when you make a profile, then you can go into the full masterclass website and get involved with just so much material there. So River Starlight takes us through a radium breath, and I just wanted to share with you what that is. So when I said to you, we start from where we're strong, we know how to breathe. We don't even have to think about breathing, right? We just breathe. But often we don't consider the breath itself. And when we're talking about breathing, we're allowing the body, when we breathe in this way anyway, we're allowing the body to tell us what it wants. And we're allowing the body to move how it wants to move. And if we stay in touch with that breath, and if we take that deep breath, then it really allows us to release space. And so many of us are going through lots of different stresses and strains, and we have tight spots in our body. And so just taking that time, this doesn't need to take long. This might be a 1-minute exercise. This is just taking a little bit of time for you. So let's have a listen to River as she describes the radiant breath and what's involved in that. You can do it along with her if you want to.
Maybe before we start anything, let's start with a breath. And that's something that other people can do as well. And really check in with, this is going to be it's called Radium Breath. So it's going to be a full breath that actually is supposed to start at the base of our spine and the genitals. Now, when we breathe this way, things may come up. If they do and they feel too much, lower it, or just don't. Just breathe in your pelvis area. So that this is not a goal. This is just inviting to see how does it feel when we breathe fully.
Right.
So we can just start by bringing a gentle attention to how we're sitting. And inviting ourselves to see, is there a way to get even comfier? We're so often we don't get these choices. Nobody asks us that. Like, how can my body feel like even more at ease? Like, be picky.
Yeah, I loved, Ryan and I did the radiant breath along with River in this masterclass. And it was just such a beautiful experience to really breathe fully in, and that breath not just going down to the diaphragm, but fully going down into either the pelvis area or the base of the spine or into the genitals, and really just, if you close your eyes, even better, really just allowing that breath to go in and out. And it's so much about being in our body, and it's so much about releasing energy that doesn't serve us so that we can make space in our body. I know certainly in my own life, with a lot of different stresses at different times, I've been doing shallow breathing, and I haven't been really breathing into my body. And when I have, I've been breathing into my diaphragm, right? Because I run conferences, so I'm used to taking a nice breath from the diaphragm so that I can project my voice and sustain my voice at a volume that I need to use. But that's not the same thing as breathing even deeper into our pelvis or the base of our spine or our genitals. And, at that point, that when we breathe that deeply and that cleansingly, then it really lets our body feel safe. And I have found so much benefit from this kind of breathing, and this kind of just listening to my body, and just allowing my body to tell me where it's tight. And actually, River goes into, the places where we kind of have a little catch with our breath and it doesn't want to go all the way down uh, deep enough. Then, just letting that release and working through that at your own pace. And so if you were to do this 1 minute a day, really, as River says, be picky, find your space, find your comfort, and then let that happen. And just let the breath go all the way in. It's so cleansing. And it's such a great way to get in touch with not only our bodies, not only how we feel, but also it's such a great way of getting in touch with, where we need to do the work. And very often when we release energy, we're focusing on that kind of the feeling, which by definition is what we call feminine energy. And this week we'll be focusing on different energies. I talk about energies in a very different way in my corporate world. I tend to talk about energies in terms of introversion and extroversion. I tend to talk about energies in terms of a detached or a feeling kind of energy. But what we're talking about here is much more personal and much more intimate. And by definition, that would be because we have to put a language around it. I'm not a big fan about male and female, and because gender is a man-made construct, and it's a concept that kind of allows us to create a common understanding. But when we talk about feminine energy, it's very much about how we're feeling. It's very much about creativity. It's very much about touch. And, this kind of breathing just allows us to take some time away from doing and producing and, really what are we supposed to be doing and what are we not doing and judging and all of those kind of things. It is just about allowing. And there's a point in, actually, I think it's quite early on in the masterclass when River says, when was the last time someone asked you, how do you like to be touched? And I thought about it. And the answer is never. I think, that's a very intimate thing to be thinking about how we like to be touched. And I'll be honest with you, if I was asked that question, I don't know if I would know what that means for me. I mean, obviously I understand it in terms of, do I want somebody to hug me? Do I want to kiss them? The pre-COVID, that was all the thing of, kissing both cheeks or kissing a few times on cheeks and so on. But just, just really thinking about how do I want to touch myself? How do I want to feel? How do I want to, how does it feel when I touch my throat? Or how does it feel when I put my hands on my heart? Or how do my hands even feel? We did a podcast and you'll find it on Confidence Through Cabaret, anywhere where you get your podcasts. Also on our landing page, confidencethroughcabaret.com. You'll find a podcast that we did with Alice Zaffer recently as well, actually last week. And that podcast was very much about, kind of feeling into our own body and feeling into our own, kind of touch. But this is about more of an internal feeling. This is the deepest breath you are going to take. And it's about even just adjusting our pelvis and adjusting our spine and adjusting our shoulders and really just, as River says, be picky, finding that comfort spot, sitting on your sits bones and just really centering, and in order to allow the breath to go right down to the base of the spine. And, if we were to do this even throughout the day, not even for a minute, if we were to just close our eyes and take a deep cleansing breath, but way beyond where the diaphragm is, just trying that, feeling that breath go all the way down so that we have stability in the base of our spine or our genitals or where our torso starts, and then allowing that breath to come back up. It's a really cleansing exercise to do. It's very good for releasing, but also stress. It's very good for centering and really getting in touch with how do we want to experience things. And it's also really good for when you're working with others, or if others are maybe we disagree, maybe there's some sort of a conflict, maybe there's a difference in energy. Just taking that breath allows us to have considered response. Now, we've talked about this before on here about assertiveness, and assertiveness is always about considered response, and that comes from feeling into the body and fully filling our body with that breath, and then releasing. If you want to be assertive, if you want to resolve conflict, if you want to collaborate, that breath is so important. And you can do it throughout the day. It's beautiful. It doesn't need to take long. It's just a simple exercise. And I would say go back and listen to that clip that we just heard and try that breath for 1 minute or 30 seconds. It doesn't need to be long, and just see how you feel. When I did this, and I share this on the masterclass, actually, when I did this, I felt quite tight in my chest. I found the breath was difficult to get past my chest and let it sink down. And it took me a few goes. And it also took me kind of an adjustment, in my body and my pelvis to being able to, um, tip my pelvis and release, because actually my breath seemed to be stopping from here so that it wouldn't go down into those areas, because that didn't feel so comfortable or so safe for me initially. And once we breathe into that comfort, then we can find that space where we feel safe and where we feel relaxed and where we feel loving to our bodies. Now, if you're working on something in your personal life, for example, body acceptance, then you have to start from where you are. Even if your body is a million miles off of where you want it to be in whatever way, we start from where we're strong. Where are you now? Accept that, breathe into that, enjoy that, feel pleasure in that, and then you can start to move and feel motivated and create space. And then you can work on the areas that you want to work on. And whether that's a verbal or a mental activity, or whether that's a physical activity, feeling good in our body is important. And I would say, if you're somebody who exercises, then often we go into a warm up, and that's a great way of kind of, getting our body ready for the activity that we're about to do. But before you start your warm up, just letting your shoulders go back and drop down, so they're not up here, but down here and back, not forward, but back. And then let that breath go through. And just even if you just did, one would be great. If you can, try and do, maybe 3 of those breaths before you go into your warm up and your exercise. And you'll find that your body's already prepared, fully oxygenated for the pleasure of, in this example, exercise. So enjoy. Let us know what you think in the comments. You can like and subscribe below. You can also go to confidencethroughcabaret.com, and you can see this and all of our other video content, that's the word. And you can hear our podcasts, you can see the articles, you can see the podcasts we've collaborated on, you can see the whole thing on confidencethroughcabaret.com. All of our socials are Confidence Through Cabaret, except for Twitter, which is at the letters YB, YW, YS. Also on Clubhouse, I am at Heather, YB, YW, YS. And those letters, they stand for your body, your world, and your stage. Take up space, own your space, feel good. And that feels great to just take up space and stretch out. Look after yourself. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.